Alright lads and lasses, I'm Eccentric, and today I'm on Horizon 5 to discuss the car pass. Yes, for a little while now we've been left with the final car, the 370Z Nismo, so we have been left in total with 42 cars, which has tied it with Forza Horizon 3 for second place for the most amount of cars that we got in the car pass, only being beaten by Horizon 4 that left us with 49 cars. The car pass in this, there are some definite great additions I'm really happy to see. There are some that are mediocre, I don't mind too much. And then there's one that I just absolutely despise, maybe even two, that I just think, no. So yeah, there's that. This is all my sort of personal opinion as well, my thoughts on the cars, so yours might be completely different, and that's completely and utterly fine. Just before I get into it, if you enjoy the video at any point, I'd be highly appreciative to leave a like. If you also hate the video at any point, feel free, leave it a dislike as well. You know, all feedback is appreciated, so feel free. Just because you can't see the dislike doesn't mean I can't. I can see them too. Anyways, enough about that. So, yes, another quick issue I'm going to bring on is that some cars I definitely do think should have been season pass rewards and should not have been a DLC, and others I'm grateful for being a DLC car. So there's going to be a few backwards and forwards with that, because it's a complicated, I'd say it's a complicated thing. It's an interesting thing to bring up the season reward. I think that does bring up a big point of discussion. But let's kick things off with the Formula Drift pack. Yes, this gave us 8 new Formula Drift cars, so now we have more than enough Formula Drift cars if you want to create just a championship based upon them and everyone choose a different one. You can do that now. They are good fun to actually drive around. They're drifting in it, it's actually really nice. I'm not the best drifter, as you probably already are aware, or will see. However, these are actually really good fun to mess around with. Really, really good fun to mess around. Yeah, there you are, that's why I'm not a good drifter. As well, they are actually quite fun to try and make a competitive S1 class car. I've got a Formula Drift Falcon tyre Corvette that I actually do quite like to drive. They are good fun because you can put them on whatever tyre you want. So if you want a proper rally Formula Drift car, then you can. And you know, you're going to have great amounts of power, great amount of top speed. You're just going to lack a little bit in the handling department, as you'd expect. So yeah, you know what? The more the merrier of the Formula Drift cars. Not my hugest cup of tea, but it's happy to see nonetheless. Now the first unique car that, well, I say unique, the Forsberg 2JZ stock car. I am really happy. I actually do quite like this car, I will admit. You can not do much to it. You can't swap the engine, you can only swap the drivetrain, and as you'd expect, you can't add on any aero. Ignore clicking in the background, I've just got a bunch of notes up at the minute and just need to scroll down. It's a seriously good car, this, and I kind of wonder if they would do more cars like this and add them to Horizon 5. You know, we might get some different stock cars, who knows. I do quite like the car. They're good fun to mess around with if you have an entire lobby full of these stock cars. They are quite turbo laggy, very, very turbo laggy actually. They're probably not the most competitive car out there, especially in S1, because it starts off right at the top of it. But what it does have is it does have a good top speed, good amounts of power. Yeah, it's just all you need to be concerned about is the turbo lag, but it is a seriously good car to drive. Brakes can be a little bit iffy from time to time as well. The other car that was in this is the Forsberg Gold Leader. All of these 10 cars were out immediately. So you've got a few engine swaps, including a R390 engine in it, and well, you know, it's a pre-modified 280Z, which I do actually quite like. I do think that if we had more pre-modified cars, things like Tommy Kyver Skyline, the Mines, the HKS Time Attack Evo, things like that, I really do think that would add a lot to the car list. I'm just, you know, little simple things like that. I really do think it would add a lot. I do like this car a lot. It's good fun to drive. It's, when you build up to A-Class, it's probably not massively competitive, but tell you what, it's not bad. It really isn't bad to drive. My driving is, but it seriously is a good fun car. You can tinker around with it a little bit. Obviously, you can put on the race kit if you really wanted to, race Forza Aero. As I showed you earlier on, you can also swap the engine, but that's what you can do with it. I don't think it's good in S1, but in A-Class it can be a good fun car to use. Now the next car is the Impreza S209. Now, this does have a wide body, and if you remove it, you can do a little bit of customization, but not a huge amount. You can obviously stick on rally lights on the front, and you can also put on mud flaps, which is a front bumper for some reason. Don't ask me. Yeah, so you can add that. Now, do not get me wrong, I do like the car quite a fair bit. I don't even think it's terribly uncompetitive either. I think it can work in certain scenarios. There you are, stock front bumper, and street one is mud flaps. Yeah, don't ask me. You can have a few different body kits, spoilers, so you can have the Varis huge spoiler, and then of course you can have the rally lights at the front. This is one of the first cars I thought, yeah, it's cool, I don't mind the addition. I didn't get excited for it to be a DLC car, to be honest. I think this one definitely would have been better off as a seasonal reward, and them adding a different Subaru as a DLC, maybe like a Legacy Estate or something like that. I think, or maybe even the Bug-Eye Impreza, something different rather than this. Especially now with some of the other season rewards, we've got a few more sort of modern coupes and saloons and whatnot. I know this week we had a RS7, so I do think that would have been better suited to that scenario rather than DLC. However, you know, it's a good addition either way. I'm not too disheartened that it was a DLC. I'm just not overly excited at the fact that it was. But, you know, I'm not going to complain too much. It's got a little bit of customization, and it is a great fun car with actually some decent competitiveness, if I remember correctly. Now, the next car, on the other hand, was a one that I was absolutely happy that it was a DLC car, the Renault Edge. You can put an LS swap in it if you really wanted to, because why not? Absolutely love this car. You can also put on more lights at the front, because more lights are good. Yes, this is a brilliant addition. I really do like this edition of the Renault Edge. I do think that Forza has been lacking for a while now a lot of good French cars. You know, because there is so many. One of my favourite rallycross cars and rally cars is the Citroen Zara, for instance, and that's not appeared ever in a Forza game. I really do think that that has definitely been missing out on a few good French cars. I know for a lot of people that the word good and French probably don't mix, but no, there seriously is some good stuff, really good stuff from there. You can have the C3 World Rallycross car or something like that. I can't remember. Anyway, basically more of the Citroen, or like that crazy Citroen hypercar thingy. You know, there's definitely cars from that country that they could add that would definitely add a lot. Up next, we have got the Mercury Cyclone. Now, you know, and it's great to see another Mercury that isn't just the something I forgot. It's just your standard muscle car, really, standard customization, all your standard engines. Yeah, it's just bog standard. Do not get me wrong, I actually do really like the look of the car. It's a really interesting front. I think it's a cool addition, but it's just, there's nothing really that stands out with it compared to a lot of the other muscle cars. Like I said, you just get all the bog standard engine swaps, the bog standard bonnets and front bumpers and things like that. Yeah, it's just your run-of-the-mill muscle car, so nothing really too exciting going on there. But, you know, I'm glad to see that there's another Mercury. I do think that we could have, definitely it would be quite nice to have a lot more of the more forgotten about muscle cars. I do think that would be a better addition, definitely, if we had more, like I said, more Mercuries or something like that. That definitely would work. Up next from Ferrari, we have got the J50. Yeah, I don't know about this one. I mean, obviously we have the FXXK engine in it, which is a sweet engine swap. We definitely should have more unique engine swaps like that. And, well, that's it. You can obviously stick on the base Forza Aero, and then that's it. Of course, you know, you'd expect from Ferrari there's not much you can do. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the J50. I mean, do not get me wrong. I do quite like I do like Ferrari when they're not suing anti-doping Italian charities, to use a name on a fucking shit SUV. Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of the problem is that we just got so many of these mid-engine rear-wheel drive or four-wheel drive supercars. There's just so many of them that it's just kind of getting to the point of, yay, cool, but I'm really not that interested in the Ferrari J50. If we had a different Ferrari that was DLC, let's say the one of the shooting brake Ferraris or the 250 GT bread van, I do think that would be an absolutely sweet addition, rather than this J50, but, you know, that's just my opinion, you might think different of it. The next Ferrari I sort of have the same opinion of. It is the Monza SP2. You can do even less with this, you can't actually swap the engine. You can put in a different aspiration, but that's it. I did actually see this car in real life when I went to Goodwood this year, actually. I don't know how I feel about it. It's an interesting car. I do kind of like this whole supercar speedster type of thing. I know Aston Martin did it. The taillights are kind of interesting. It's a cool car, yes, but good looking? No. And like I said, you can't do really anything with it. It's just Forza Aero and swap the turbo. That's it. There's nothing really to write about the Monza. I mean, I guess the J50 and this drive nicely. You know, they're good cars. They're decently quick. Competitive wise, I have absolutely no idea. I don't think the Monza is all that. I think the J50 is not too bad, but honestly, I don't pay attention to the meta that much. Ask someone else that actually does. But yeah, that's just my thoughts on the two Ferraris. It's just, yeah, but I'm not massively interested in them. Now Lamborghini, on the other hand, now this is a good DLC car. One I was really happy to see, the Espada, with a actual unique race rear wing. I actually do like a lot. I'm glad that it's not the Forza one you have to stick on to get the aero. A few different engine swaps. You've got the 5.2 V12, and then the V10, the Wave 12, and of course the 6.5 V12. So plenty of V12s available in the Espada. Yeah, I absolutely like this car. I really do like this addition to the game. It drives quite nicely. I think you can actually get one to be fairly competitive. And yeah, this is the type of thing I have wanted from the Ferrari DLC. Well, from the Ferrari DLC cars, is something more like this, just a more obscure car, which, you know, I think would have been just a much better addition. If the other two Ferraris, like I said, were just the seasonal rewards, and then they just brought in different, more older Ferraris that were more unique and then DLC, that would have been better, at least in my opinion anyway, rather than what we have now. Anyway, enough about that. Yeah, Espada, absolutely love it. Really do love the way the car sounds, love the way the car drives. It looks fantastic as well. And yeah, it is a genuinely good car. Now the next car from Lamborghini is, well, I'll say it's a little bit polar opposite, because it's not really that unique, and it's another Huracan. Yes, we've got more of the bloody Lamborghini Huracans. This time it is the Huracan Evo. We'll probably get the STO, I think it is, at some point. Yeah. I mean, bonus points for the Huracan, it comes with purple as a factory colour, so, you know, there is that, Wave 12, 6.5 V12, so, you know, kind of your standard engines. I wasn't really excited for this car. I thought, oh god, here we go. And then I drove it, and then my opinion completely changed. This car drives brilliantly. I absolutely love the Huracan Evo to drive. It really is just fantastic. It's probably not even that bad either. You could probably get a very good one. Yeah, this is a seriously good car. Really do enjoy it to drive, because it just doesn't really, to me, it doesn't feel like a heavy four-wheel drive car. It does turn in really nicely, and it is fairly glued to the road as well. Now I'm getting a little bit of a slide there, but no, I seriously would recommend giving this car a try. Maybe even building one, see what it's like, because, well, to be honest, I'm not really doing much of the Horizon Online anymore. Yeah, I just don't want to do it. So, the next car is a one I absolutely enjoy. The Jaguar XJ13, with a really nice looking race rear wing, actually. I'm glad that they did that rather than just a small one that just goes perpendicular to the car. Really happy that they actually sort of curved it round the back. Yeah, absolutely love it. This is the type of cars I want. More classic racing cars. I mean, to be honest, I want more Jaguars in general. I really do like a good Jag. Who doesn't? But the XJ13 was, I absolutely love it. It's a good car. Competitive wise, it probably isn't that bad either. I think I've seen a handful in A-Class, and they actually did fairly well. Obviously, it starts right near the top of A-Class, so you're not going to be able to do much to it, so you're going to mainly be focusing on its straight line speed rather than its cornering capabilities, but I do honestly think it's a very capable car of doing some good stuff in public lobbies. I know, you tell me, you'd know more than I do. But this is what I'd want, more classic racing cars from many other manufacturers as well, which is just brilliant. These are the cars that I'd want. Now the next Jaguar is, you probably are already aware, is the XJ220S, now with a removed dint from the model. How they didn't spot that, I don't know, but this is FH5 for you. I love this car. I absolutely love the XJ220S. This is my favourite DLC car that has ever been in a Forza game. It really is up there. I've been asking for this car for absolute years. Many years I've been wanting an XJ220S to be introduced into this game, and it was finally introduced, and I fell in love instantly. I really do enjoy this car. I know it's actually quite competitive, not quite as good as the XJ13, nowhere near as good I don't think, but it can work very well. It's got a great top speed and things like that, and yeah, I honestly could not get enough of this car when it was added. It did make me so happy when I saw that as a DLC car, because ever since PGR4 came out back in 2009, I think it was, I have asked for that car ever since in Forza, and many years later, finally, it was added to Forza, and yeah, absolutely love the car, absolutely love it. So from a bonkers Jag to an even more ludicrous Ferrari, the FXXK Evo. Tell you what, I'm not too displeased with this car. I do actually quite like it to drive. It kind of makes me wonder what more things are going to do to it with these like sort of track hypercars, if you know what I mean. I do think that this could make a fun discipline to have as a championship in the next Forza Motorsport, these proper hyper track toys. As you'd expect from it, you can't really do much. There's no body kit customizations, you can't swap the engine, it's just four-wheel drive. And it is at the top of S2, but it is very quick. It is a seriously good car to drive. And yeah, to be honest, I'm not too displeased that it was a DLC car. I know we've basically got the FXX, not the normal FXXK, and it's improved a little bit. Obviously, well, it is much quicker around the track, but yeah, I don't really know. It's a good addition, do not get me wrong, but it could be one of those, well, it may as well have just been a seasonal reward, considering we've already got the standard FXX, and there's not really too much difference in like the numbers between them. So, you know, you can, and that could be another potential, like 3 Ferraris could have just been a seasonal reward, and I think we'd be happier. Now, the next car is a one that normally wouldn't surprise me. Well, I'd be normally just lose interest in. It's the Audi TT RS, now with a proper working rear bumper when you stick on the body kit. It's a nice body kit, do not get me wrong, and you can have a few engine swaps. You've got the Turbo Rally, and you have the Racing i6, and that's it. To tell you what though, this Audi TT did surprise me. I actually, when I did drive it for that one video, yeah, you know what, it actually did surprise me. I thought it'd just be, it's just going to be modern Audi, you know, it's going to be heavy, it's going to understeer. It actually doesn't. It is actually a pretty damn nice car to drive, and it sounds good as well. That's the other thing, it does sound really good. So, honestly, this car did surprise me. This was probably the biggest surprise of any car that came out in the DLC was this Audi. Because I really thought I'd just use it once and then just forget about it in my awful videos when I used to review the cars individually. Glad to stop that because they were just terrible. And yeah, honestly, I don't really take back much of the Audi TT. It was a seriously good car, and would recommend it. It probably might be competitive, but I think it could work. Now we go on to the car that I like, but not how it's been added, because, well, I like the 911 Sport Classic, however, I hate it for the fact I have to talk about it in this video. Yeah, this should not have been a DLC car. This absolutely should not have been a DLC car. I criticised this car a lot. Well, I criticised Motorsport 5 a lot for its DLC, when a lot of like the 95 cars in that game were all just from Motorsport 4. Like 4 of them were brand new to the franchise. Yeah, everything else you were just paying to get the cars back. So I criticised Motorsport 5 heavily on that. So I'm going to criticise this heavily. Yes, it's only one car. Well, 1.5 really. The next video will discuss the other one. Yeah. So there's not much you can do to it. Obviously you've got a different Porsche, I think it's a flat 6. And you can just stick on the Forza body kit. And that's it. Yeah, there's not much to talk about it other than to say, why the hell was this a DLC car again? It's an absolute rip-off. And, well, this Mazda 323 was the complete opposite of a rip-off. I was really happy to see this. I saw one of these on Auto Trader actually a little while ago for, I think it was like £15,000. I thought, ooh, that's really cool. It actually had that little spoiler. You can do a fair things to it. You can have a Vita, you can put in the turbo rally, the quad rotor if you really feel like it, or the 3.8 V6. So yeah, there's a few customizations that you can do to the Mazda 3. And I really do like it. It is a seriously good car. I think competitive wise it's actually pretty good as well. I can't get enough of it, to be honest. I really do like this car. These are the type of cars I want to see. Sort of older hatchbacks, or just hatchbacks in general, like hot hatches, and then like I said, some older ones too. Because really there's just a lot of cool things that we get from like just having old hatchbacks in the games and new hot ones as well, because Forza for ages have been lacking in this department of just having your more family day cars, like I said, of hot hatches and classic ones and things like that. Really have been missing out on this. So the fact that they added this in was very, very cool. This was immediately up my list of a great DLC car to be added. The next car as well also is up the list of a really cool DLC car, the 21 Volkswagen Golf R. Yeah, you've got a few customizations. You've got the R400 body kit, and you've also got the Varis again. There's no wide body, but it's an entire body kit for the Golf. And it's actually a really cool body kit. I do like the customizations that you do get on it. It is seriously cool stuff. And not only that, you do get a unique engine to it. You do get a 5-cylinder turbo from something I don't remember, and of course the normal turbo rally. Like I said, with the Mazda, this is what I want. These are the type of cars I want. Modern hatchbacks, because ages and ages we've been lacking on them, and they're good fun to drive. That's the main thing. You can have some serious good racing, and a lot of them are fairly competitive as well. So yeah, there's not really much to say other than just repeat myself on the Mazda 3. What would be nice to see if we do get the modern Mercedes A-Class AMG. And you know, there's still plenty of more modern hatchbacks out there that I definitely do think would be a good addition to FH5 in the season pass. So, you know, fingers crossed for that. Now this car was another one I was very excited to see, the MGX Power. Of course you can't really do much customization wise, but that's not surprising to me. Engine swaps, we've got a fair few. The LS swap, it's kind of like a lot of the other muscle cars, but it's slightly more modern. All you have to deal with is just a really awful 4-speed gearbox. It is an awful gearbox, but it's a good car, this one, excuse me. It's a seriously good car, this one, and when I saw this as a DLC, I was really excited. I actually recently watched the Top Gear part where they were talking about like this MG, and to see it in Forza Horizon 5 was just absolutely exciting. This is what I mean about FH5 having a few very, very good DLC cars. Like I said, the Mazda 3, the 323, the XJ220S, XJ13, the Golf R, and this. All just really, really good DLC cars. I can't get enough of them, to be honest. I really couldn't get enough of them. So if we get more just exciting cars like this, then, you know, I really do think that the car list will just be improved a lot more just from having stuff like this rather than just constant supercars and things like that. And it does add a lot more, at least in my opinion. Now the next car was an average one, if you ask me, another Ford Mustang, the SVO, but at least the race rear wing is something actually unique, and it's got mud flaps as well. Yeah, it's alright, you've got your standard LS swap, diesel, turbo rally, and a V10. Yeah, there's not really much to write about this Mustang, it's alright, you know, it's nice to see that we've got a different sort of era of Mustangs where they were slow, but yeah, it's not the most exciting car. If you ask me, you know, we've got enough Mustangs as it is, but, you know, I'm not going to harp on it too much. It's a nice addition, I will go with that, but not a one that excites me massively. But I do think it can actually be quite competitive in A-Class. B-Class would probably work too, if you build it correctly. And the final car for this video is the Toyota Tundra. That's all I can really say, really. It's a big Toyota pickup truck. If you do like them, then, you know, fair enough. I really don't. I'm just not interested. I would rather have had many different Toyotas, but it does actually get the LFA swap in it, so, you know, there is that. But, yeah, it's not massively interesting to me. I know you can have a full-on off-roading kit like you can with a lot of the other pickup trucks, but with the Tundra, I just, you know, it's not terrible by any means. I don't think it's a bad addition. I know this one is a fairly competitive car, but I just really did not have any interest in the Toyota whatsoever. I really would have rather, excuse me, the GR Yaris, for instance, maybe even the GR86. Just many different Toyotas I'd rather have been added rather than this Tundra. I really do think that just should have been a seasonal reward rather than a DLC, because I don't really feel like it adds a lot to it, to be honest. But hey ho, that's my opinion on that. And there we are, that is my opinion on the first half of the FH5 Car Pass. I do hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, all feedback is appreciated. If there's any cars that you do think should have been DLC, well, do you agree with me, basically? You agree, yep, I'm so happy this was a DLC car, or no, this should not have been a DLC car whatsoever. You know, feel free, let me know. However, I'm going to call it there for the video. I've already done the other bit. If you want to join my Discord, there'll be a link in the description. Feel free to join. And yeah, God.